What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is I, none other than the Icon Soup, the one and the only, much like Carl Duschenberg, my good buddy, says. And I am back here with another rousing episode of Shootin' with Soup. And I'm Soup, of course, the Icon. And I think we're going to sit down and discuss another year. One more year in the HWF history, and to keep it a little fresh, we are not going to go in chronological order. We're not going to go in back order. We are going to go in super sporadic order, folks. And the year I have on tap today is 2014, the return to form, so to speak, of HWF 2.0. The year was 2014. Now, a little backstory about the 2014 year. It actually was thought up in the summer of 2013, the fall of 2013. Mike Extreme created a Facebook page called HWF Legacy and basically wanted to bring everybody that wrestled in HWF into this page. And we started, mulling it over and talking about it and figuring out how we could do it years later, because 2014 was 12 years after the original HWF left, 5 years after our last reunion show in 2009, Better Off Dead. But we got it going. He planted that little seed in my head, in Suicide Kid's head, and our original idea was to have Rise from the Dead, HWF Rise from the Dead, but we wanted to rent a ring. And we never wrestled in a ring, and we wanted to wrestle in a ring for one of the last times that we would ever, wrestle. Well, lo and behold, that never came to fruition because of just a lot of factors. We couldn't really afford a ring, we didn't know where to put a ring, so on and so forth. So that idea was pretty much just squashed, and we didn't go forward with getting the ring. But it planted the idea for Soup when I became the Icon Soup this year, in 2014, that year, would face Suicide Kid. Why not, right? We were in talks to bring Spence Dog in and Mike Extreme in, and some of the EHW guys, but they never came. They never came to order. They never really wanted to do it again, I don't think. The main HWF players, Balls, Jabbo, Doug, Livesey, those guys, I had a feeling, they all moved on in their lives, which is great. That's perfect. We're stuck in the past. HWF was a part of our lives, mostly mine, because it was all my brainchild, my idea, my everything, my ideas, and so on and so forth. So it was very hard to get everybody to come to this reunion show 2014. Even Mike Extreme and Spence Dog, who were at Better Off Dead, it was a hard time getting them, dude. We had planned all through the winter of 2014, and when it started to get close to the date that we had set, which was April 19th, 2014, Rise from the Dead, it was a matter of hours before the show. There's a Facebook post that I put on, thanking all the HWF guys, thanking everybody that ever wrestled with us, that ever, messed around with us, because hours before the show happened, Suicide Kid wasn't really feeling it, and we couldn't get a cameraman. It was just me and Suicide Kid. Shout out Suicide Kid. I know he's watching this. It was me and him. That was it. 420. We were left. The Battle of 420. So we kind of concocted the idea of having two matches, One he picked, which ended up being the main event. It was the first ever TLC match in HWF history, table, ladders, and chairs. Well, I should say table, ladder, and chair. And then my match, which was a hardcore match, both for the HWF Championship. We went out there. We thankfully had Suicide Kid's cousin called him. He was able to provide camera work for us, and I must say it was pretty good camera work, because before then, it was pretty much we had one stationary camera in one spot. They wrestled over there. We got it. He walked around with us. He got tight shots, and it turned out really well. I won the match, the first match. He won the second match, Suicide Kid. So we each traded a victory. It was actually a funny, famous spot, I'll tell you. During that show, during the first match, which was the hardcore match, it was me and Suicide Kid's first match in 5 years versus each other. First time we wrestled in 5 years. And he had this classic Suicide Kid spot where he would climb to the top of the ladder and dive down on somebody. He was dropping an elbow, a splash, whatever. Well, old man Suicide Kid got to the top of that ladder, looked down, jumped down, and damn near broke both of his legs. He hit that ground with such force. He congealed back, and then he whispered, go do a promo, because he was hurting. I think I went and I cut a couple-minute promo, and then we stopped the camera because he had to take a break. He damn near broke both of his fucking kneecaps. Classic Suicide Kid. Classic. That was Rise from the Dead. Now, our original intention for Rise from the Dead, like I said, to have everyone come back, have the third annual reunion show, okay? We had no intention of doing HWF 2.0. We had no intention of coming back and doing anything else. We had that one-off show, and me and Suicide Kid felt so good. We felt so jazzed. We thought we did such a great job that we scheduled another show, Back to the Dead, which was August 30th, 2014. So we had April 19th, 2014 with Rise from the Dead. Then we scheduled Back to the Dead at the end of August. Well, we had a spot in between at the beginning of August that we fit in All That Remains. And All That Remains was a good event. One of the moments on there is one of the top 15 moments in HWF history was the return after 15 years of Psycho Killer Brian Fillmore. He had left the HWF at the end of 1999. He won the title at Fourth Violent Act in a three-way ladder to hell match between myself and Balls. He was the champ. He gave up the title. Come that January, February, he didn't want to be champion anymore. Mostly because Big Sexy had left the state, and that was his best friend, and he didn't want to come wrestle with us anymore. Whatever, it's cool. Bon voyage. But he came back in 2014 and had a pretty damn good three-way dance with myself and Suicide Kid, elimination style. Cut me all open and shit. That was good. That was All That Remains. It was a shock because me and Suicide Kid had wrestled the first match, and if I won, I got to choose the stipulations, or I got another title match. I think that's what it was. But Psycho Killer came in, ruined everything, had a three-way dance. I think it was one of the very first videos I ever put on YouTube. I think it was the very first video I put on YouTube. The three-way dance and All That Remains. And we were feeling real jazzed up after that. There was 2 shows down in 2014 that we put on that were pretty good, I thought. Come August 30th, Back to the Dead. We had figured out we were going to do an HWF Hall of Fame. Now, Hall of Fames don't mean crap, except for who's doing it. And HWF Hall of Fame is HWF Hall of Fame. So we planned on having the Hall of Fame plus Suicide Kid and myself, the Icon Soup, in a 3 stages of hell match for the HWF Championship. Another monkey wrench thrown into that mix. Mike Extreme and Spence Dog decided to show up and decided to come, which was out of left field. Here's left field. It was out of left field. They decided like the night before they were going to come. So we threw together a 4-way dance. And I think it's actually the second video I put on YouTube, HWF's YouTube ever, 4 years ago. It was Spence Dog, Soup, Suicide Kid, Psycho Killer, 4-way dance, bam. And the Icon Soup came out the victor, you know. 4-time HWF heavyweight champion, can't beat that with a stick, you know. And I won, which was great. We had the Hall of Fame ceremony. It was me, Ball, Suicide Kid, Big Sexy, Jabbo, Mike Extreme, I believe, were the original 6. And it was cool. You know, we went out there. We had a little. I said a little thing. Suicide Kid said a little thing. Mike Extreme said a little thing. So it was pretty cool. Following that, I wanted to have a one-on-one match with Psycho Killer. And the winner of that match would go on to fight Suicide Kid, because Suicide Kid beat me at Back to the Dead in the 3 stages of hell match. He beat me 2 to 1. So he won back the championship belt for the 5th time. So that set up our next show, Death is Only the Beginning. And Death is Only the Beginning was my brainchild, because I wanted to go in and fight Psycho Killer. And we introduced our new cameraman, Dick Shenanigans, who was a buddy of mine who passed away sadly this year. R.I.P. buddy. Dick Shenanigans came on. He did the camera work for us, which was really great. Go watch them on YouTube. They're funny. They're funny matches. Not so much the stuff we do. The stuff we do is pretty brutal. I bleed all over the place. But the stuff Dick Shenanigans says is hilarious. You know, we had Dick Shenanigans came in. Death is Only the Beginning. Now, I went over. I beat Psycho Killer. I beat him down pretty good, actually. I'm all bloody. It was at the Triton Valley Arena in Angola, right by my house where I was living at the time. And I thought it went pretty good. Death is Only the Beginning. Go check it out. It's not bad at all. And that went into one of the matches that's on our top 10 greatest matches of all time between myself and Suicide Kid. Of course, we're on there 3 damn times. Bad Intentions. The Millennium Ladder match. It was classic. It's still, Suicide Kid, it is still one of his favorite matches that we ever had. It was brutal. Barbed wire, blood, thumbtacks, fire. I went through a flaming thumbtack table. It was good. Bad Intentions. It was filmed by a buddy of mine who I was working with at the time. But yeah, that was great. Nobody else at that point in the HWF 2.0, it was basically 1-1. Either me, Suicide Kid, Psycho Killer. We were going to show up and have these matches, and then that's it. No big hoorah, no multiple man matches, because at that point we couldn't do it, you know. Bad Intentions was great. And I bled. A lot of these scars are from Bad Intentions. I had holes in my back because the thumbtacks had heated up on the table. So by the time Suicide Kid, I was like, do it. And then by the time he finally did his FU through the table, the flames went down, but the tacks were heated up like red hot pokers. Poked my back. It was crazy. Then, from that match, we had actually had a few events scheduled that never happened. We had Trick or Treat, which actually did happen. It was me and Psycho Killer in another bloodbath, and I'm talking about bloodbath, where I bled everywhere. And I even fell on the ground. I got a hole in my hand right there. I don't know if you can see it still. It's right there. I put my arm in attack, and it was right into my hand. I pulled the bad boy out, and still holding my, like, a mark in my hand 4 years later. But Trick or Treat, again, it was commentated and directed by my good buddy who passed away, Dick Shenanigans. Again, funny commentary. I came out wearing a Michael Myers mask, and it actually seen the debut of Nightmare. There was a video prior to Trick or Treat where I called my buddy Louie and had him send some enforcements, and the enforcements he sent was Nightmare. I would go on to have many matches with Nightmare over the few years, this past year, everything. But that event seen the debut. Nightmare came out. He gave the old Nightmare kick to Psycho Killer. Put him out for good. Done. Finished. Booed. Done. And like I just said before, we were supposed to go into unfinished business, which was set for the beginning of November 2014. Between me and Suicide Kid. It was going to be a no-rope barbed wire death match. It kept getting postponed. Suicide Kid had stuff to do. He couldn't do obligations and this and that. We never did it. So I filmed something with Dick Shenanigans called HWF The Business. And I got my butt kicked by Nightmare. Put through a table, bloody, beaten. It was fun. We cracked open a bunch of beers. We just shoot shit, talked, and then we filmed this stupid segment. It was funny, and that went into weeks and weeks of ongoing Suicide Kid soup. Were we gonna fight? Weren't we gonna fight? Were we gonna fight? Weren't we gonna fight? Until we got into the snow. And here in Buffalo, New York, Angola, we're a suburb of Buffalo, we get a lot of shitload of snow here in December. So I kept pushing for him, and he didn't want to do it. So finally, I think it was December 22nd or 23rd, we filmed the HWF Business 2, where I came out and basically said the HWF Board of Directors gave me my own title, the Angola Championship. And Suicide Kid came out, attacked me, put me through tables. Bam! So that was a great setup to another match that we were going to have in January or February of 2015. Well, that never came, because shortly after that is when me and Suicide Kid had our falling out. Well, the falling out was basically he didn't want to wrestle anymore, which is great. That's cool. I don't care. But he didn't want to wrestle anymore at a point where we were supposed to have a scheduled match and I was going to win the title. And all of a sudden, Suicide Kid's like, I retire. I'm done. I don't want to wrestle anymore. So I said, okay. So I took him off of my HWF stuff and I think that really pissed him off, because that's when we started butting heads, and that really made him mad. But it was all just, I feel from my perspective, I wanted to keep wrestling. He didn't. He thought our friendship was just about wrestling, but that was all. We were all about the wrestling at that point. We had a falling out, and for about 2 years after that, we didn't talk, and we got back together as friends about 2 years ago. So over those 2 years we didn't talk, a lot of shit went down. I didn't put a lot of Suicide Kid stuff on YouTube. I pretty much negated him from a lot of stuff. But then after we started talking again, I put him at bay. He's full of YouTube. Suicide Kid, Icon Soup. That's the whole feud that's been going this year. We just had the match in Final Chapter. But that was 2014. One hell of a year, dude. 2.0. It started with Rise from the Dead. Ended with The Business 2. It was Suicide Kid Soup, baby, all the way. 420. For life. But that's where we wrap it up here, folks, with another episode of Soup, Shooting with the Soup. Because I'm Soup, of course. I will see you next time, folks. And like I said, you don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'll keep it sporadic. I'll see you later. I'm the Icon Soup. This was Shooting with the Soup.